You should just throw that out for everybody. That's a solid one. Okay. Are we live? Welcome back, everybody. Election night. Arguably the single most important fundamental event of the year. Why? Not only is the presidential election important for all global geopolitical relationships, global macro investing sentiment and overall market direction, but this one is uniquely important because this is polar opposite campaigns. Normally in U.S. elections, kind of have like a half and half. Folks are typically moderate. They'll lean more to one side than the other. This is the first time where we genuinely have real polarization. In 2016, Trump was unique and he was what I would say disruptive, but I wouldn't say he was as polarizing because there wasn't an alternative on the other side that was equally as polarized, that was equally as radical on that side. I would say Kamala does represent a more uh, you know, I wouldn't say she's close to the center, and I really wouldn't say that Trump is close to the center. Some of his policies, yes, but in their sort of support, I would say these are extremes. Now, those come with consequences. If we're going to talk about the risk of World War III being one of the biggest and most important topics, that's something that these guys have a completely different approach on, which could lead to radically different results. That matters. The border, that matters. Healthcare, that matters. The economy and the rising debt, the interest rate ballooning above our national budget and our tax income, big deal. So those are something that are very unique to this election because we hadn't printed $20 trillion or whatever the number is, since COVID. We hadn't done that before in the history of the United States. We've had inflationary periods, we've had money printing, but we've never had money printing to this scale. And so if we don't get this under control, get spending under control, get the border under control, these are going to have serious, lasting consequences on the United States. Both claim to have solutions. Which solutions will actually work? This is what we're going to find out tonight. We'll be covering the election results live. We have Real Clear Politics, AP News, CNN. We're going to follow the Fox News live release. And then we'll also have, where is it? Oh, vtnews.ai. Shout out to Patrick Bet-David. This is an AI aggregator. I think it's a little bit off because it's not really keeping up, but it's supposed to be tracking all the different polls that are going on and sort of aggregating their data results. We'll see how accurate it really is. 6:46 p.m. here, Eastern Time. The first results are going to be at 7 p.m. That's 15 minutes from now. So just so you guys understand, if you're not from the States or if you are from the States and you showed up late to civics class, you were sitting there taking those GBs in the bathroom before class and you just didn't pay attention. The way that the voting system in America works is, unlike most countries, this is not a direct democracy. America is what's known as a representative republic, meaning that we have these United States. Each state kind of decides their own rules of how they want to vote. Whoever gets the majority vote in that state wins all of the electoral college votes. So you guys can think about this like a board game. If you get more votes than the next person, then you win the number 5 or you win the number 10, representing the number of electoral votes that state represents. So between 2020, 2016, and today, the electoral sort of map is radically different. There's some very key strategic places that have changed a lot. Can you guys guess why? Why did some states get more electoral votes? Why did some counties get more electoral votes? What has happened in the population in the last 4 years? Okay, so all that aside, there's 3 key states that are just kind of big winners: Texas, California, Florida. Florida releases in 13 minutes. It's the first one. So we'll get those results. The results will be coming in batches: 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., the latest being about 1 a.m. Assuming no shady business, we should have the results of the election by 1 a.m. tonight. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys think there might be some shady business, there's going to be a couple states that fumble the bag, and we're not going to get the results on time. Put a one in the chat if you think that that's a not just like a slight chance. Like if you guys think that that's a possibility, like one of the kind of top two possibilities here. Like you would put it as the main likelihood here. We got to know, because I'll be honest, I don't trust that we're going to get the results on time. I'd love to hear it, but in 2020, we were celebrating a little too early. The night of the election, Trump had won. And then overnight, a random dump of votes comes in and the exact amount that is needed. And all of a sudden, there's a change in the election results. Celebrations turn to constellations. Okay. So we're tracking these results. There's also the Senate race, the House races, and the gubernatorial races. There's a rumor out there or there's an expectation that tonight is going to be a clean sweep for the red wave, meaning that the Republicans will control the president, the executive branch, the Senate, the House, right? Both sides of the Congress. And then they're going to have majority senators or majority governors, excuse me, be Republican. Now, personally, I think that there has to be some kind of bicameral, representation. You can't have one party run the whole thing. But the way that Republicans act nowadays, especially in the House and the Senate, it might as well be they all part of the same thing, the swamp. So hopefully get them all out of there. All right. That's the Trump wave. But anyways, impartial reporting here on the Chart Addicts channel. Side note, give me 7 seconds of your time. I promise it'll be worth it. This stream is sponsored by the FX Summit 2024 conference that we host. It's the largest conference in the world for traders, investors, entrepreneurs. If you're coming, drop something in the chat, put FX Summit in the chats. Incredible speakers, the top 5 crypto exchanges in the world, including Crypto.com, Binance, KuCoin, Kraken, Gate.io will be there. Bob Elliott is going to be there. The Einstein of Wall Street himself will be the opening speaker, founder of Oanda and current co-founder and CEO of the Luque Crypto Exchange. Dr. Richard Olson will be there. Some of your favorite traders from social media that you guys might recognize, the Swaggy C's, Umar's, Wakar from the Titans of Tomorrow, Tori Trades, of course, Noor Trades, the Forex Beginners Podcast, tons of media. We have the owners of some of the largest futures prop firms coming to give you the sauce on how you can pass prop firm challenges and make the most of your trading. See you guys at the FX Summit. Click the link in the description below, and of course, use promo code Chartaddicts. All right. So, because I don't trust any polling data, mostly because I've been kind of hyper focused on economics for the past 5 years, and every government number that comes out is wrong. We do this every week. We do this every month when the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the jobs expectations, and then they always miss. When ADP releases kind of the jobs numbers before NFP every week, every month, always wrong. And so the economy, all the numbers that the government has been putting out and the way that they put it out too. Do you guys remember how Trump debated Kamala and he was saying that crime was up and the FBI statistics had shown that crime was down? And then 3 days later, the FBI released a what is it called? A correction to the crime numbers of the last 2 years. And crime was up 3 or 4 times what they had previously reported. So they had left it wrong, for the debate that Trump had with Kamala, and then coincidentally just changed the entire report. So these government numbers are kind of fudged. They're saying inflation's down to 2.3% or whatever they're claiming. So we'll see about that. Because I have a distrust, we're checking as many sources as we possibly can so that we get kind of an unbiased and unfiltered view. Now, the legacy media kind of apparatus, all part of the same swamp, we'll kind of put it in the same basket. AP News, slightly better, but I still wouldn't consider them 100% impartial. We got Real Clear Politics. This is kind of just more traditional, pretty boring. You guys can see the 98 Windows, dashboard here. Nothing impressive, just straight to the point. Less what would I say? Real time, but hey, I kind of give them a little bit more credit than the rest. All right, let's see what Fox has to say, or this is CNN. How did I get a CNN link? And I searched up Fox News just to show you guys YouTube is messing around right now. Like, that's crazy. 10 hours ago, Fox New York. Where's the live, bro? Scheduled for 7 p.m. Okay. All right. Well, there it is. Okay. So let me explain to you guys. Oh, I definitely just X'd out of the most important one. Okay, let me explain to you guys how this works. So it's going to be a tied race, kind of based on the expectations. You need about two. You don't need about. You need 270 votes to win. Whoever's the first to 270, that's who wins the presidency. It's not who gets the most amount of U.S. The people that vote. That's why certain states are counted. And that's why they campaign in certain states more than others. So this is really going to come down to two key states: Arizona and Philadelphia, or not Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay. That's why you guys have heard a lot about Pennsylvania in the past 6 months. So that it's going to be about my expectation and sort of what I would say the expert folks that I look up to, their expectation is a tied vote at 250, and then there's going to be a battle for Pennsylvania because it's 19 votes. So Trump is expected to be up at about 268, and then Kamala at 250, or not 268, 265 or 266, something like that. And so if Kamala wins Pennsylvania, then she's going to get 19, and then she'll beat him to that 270 number. I think she's going to be like 251 or something like that. I'll show you guys the live chart that I was looking at earlier that showed that tie. Trump was leading by about 8, 9 points. If she won Pennsylvania, she would have the race. If he won it, it would be a slam dunk. And so I really think it's going to come down to Penn. And that is supposed to release at 8 p.m. But I'm hearing some reports here that there's police departments have been deployed to certain voting stations because there's reports of fraud. And let me look up this article, dude. There's no way. It's already starting. Pennsylvania is the most important one. They say it's going to release at 8 p.m. I will make a bet with you guys. I'll make a bet with you guys. If they actually release it on time at 8 p.m., I'll donate. I'll donate, let's just say, a couple $100 to charity, whatever it might be. Or we'll give away a free ticket and donate some money to charity. Give away a ticket to the FX Summit. All right. I'll give away if Pennsylvania releases let me just fuck all this. If they release their shit on time, I will give away a free VIP ticket to somebody. All right. I might give two away. That's a value of over $6,000. All right, let's do that. That's how little faith I have. I think that there's going to be a lot of shady business. They might even count them, and then the next day be like, "Oh, we had some mail-in ballots and some stuff that got dropped off," and they're gonna that one might take 2, 3 days, just kind of based on my experience. Now, Trump did win in 2016. He lost in 2020, but I don't know if you guys remember, he got shot in the ear in Pennsylvania and got up. Kind of looked like a legend. So he might have Pennsylvania in the bag. It's going to be kind of hard for Kamala to beat that one. I don't know. But if it comes down to the wire, I'm confident that, Pennsylvania will vote red. All right. Does that make sense? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys understand the electoral college system. I'm going to get some water real quick. Any questions you guys have, keep them to yourself. What do I fucking do? I look like Siri, bro? This is just jokes. If you guys do have questions, drop them in the chat. Of course, drop a like and subscribe. Uh, yeah, let's do the Pennsylvania news voter. And I actually might have to go to Twitter for this or X, because you guys know Google is probably not going to give me the right info here. I searched up Fox News. They gave me CNN. How, how does it? I didn't even misspell. I don't know. News voter fraud police. Let me see what I find here. All right. What determines the number of electoral votes each state has? Typically population, and then it's kind of split up by districts. And so certain districts are counted more than others. And that's why, you'll find a lot of the migrants that have moved here over the illegal immigrants that have moved here over the last 4 years have strategically moved into the 11 swing states that really determine the election. Those swing states have the most amount of votes. They come in a little bit later, and they really do they're kind of in the middle. Like certain states always vote red, certain states always vote blue, but there's always those ones that are kind of in the middle and they have tons of votes. Those are the swing states. And so you kind of find certain districts getting stuffed, certain redistricting happening where they just redraw the lines and kind of give a certain district a bigger population so that they have more electoral representatives. It's a very sketchy game. And then what's even worse is that every state kind of determines their own voting policies. Like some states don't require voter ID, some states do, some states allow mail-in ballots, some states don't. Um, but that's how, they got the reps, the representatives, and how they get to those representatives is up to them. That's why it's important for the candidates to go win. So really it's population and then a little bit of manipulation. Don't take me off YouTube. I love YouTube. We have to do disclaimers in 2024 because you guys questioning the results is a no-no. Doesn't seem like there's any news here. Definitely misspelled Pennsylvania. Trump and his allies ramp up elections, of course. What is this? The Mirror? Yeah, that's not sus. All right. Pittsburgh Post Gazette definitely sounds like the most reputable platform I can find. All right, let's go to this fucking tabloid situation we got here. Oh, it's 7 p.m. Let's see if we got our first results in, people. Let's see if we got our first results. All right, we're off to the races. Trump is leading by 8, Kamala by 3. I think Kamala had won Vermont. Yep. So she won Vermont. She got 3 votes. He won Indiana, got 11 votes. And then he won Kentucky, got 8 votes. We're waiting for Florida, which is supposed to release here at the same time. Florida is 30 votes, by the way. So if Trump wins Florida, he'll be up 49-3. We call that a pretty big lead. We'll wait here for this to populate. Indiana, Kentucky typically vote red. Let's see how many votes they got here. All right, well, let's not do this by county. 13% of the votes counted. Okay, well, oh, these are all the different electoral districts. So they have 11 different districts, one electoral representative for each district. And it looks like they're all still being counted here. 6% of votes counted? Well, that's too early to call. I don't know why they're okay. So we'll let that play out. Still too early to tell. Florida is the big one. Again, that's 30 electoral votes for Florida. Is Fox News pulling a Roy here and just starting this thing late? That's crazy. Taking a play out of my playbook. Again, legacy media using the new generation for ideas. Crazy. Walter said no idea. What no ID. What the fuck? Yeah, well, California made it illegal to ask for identification to vote in the election. Again, California passed a law 2 weeks out from the election, making it illegal for voting officials to ask for identification if someone is trying to vote. You cannot even show them your ID if you wanted to. I would call that a recipe for disaster. All right, if you're going to open the door for criminals to cheat, I can guarantee you they're going to cheat. I heard some clown. I'm not even going to subtweet him. I'm going to call him out directly. Jason Calacanis from the All In podcast was saying, uh, like, you can't cheat in a U.S. election, or there's something about cheating won't be consequential enough to sway the election. And how would you find 100,000 votes or 48,000 votes, which is what really is like that little margin of 40,000, 50,000 votes could determine the US election. That's why certain states are so crucial. It's not even like a state, it's really just between 50, 60,000 votes in that state that could determine who wins. Right? So he was saying there's no fraud and no elect. I was like, bro, people cheat in things all the time. People cheat in video games with nothing on the line, no stakes at all. All right. If someone's going to cheat in a children's game for fucking nothing in return, imagine what someone's going to do for all the power in the world. Leader of the free world, head of the executive branch, commander in chief of the U.S. military, the strongest fighting force the world's ever seen, the U.S. currency, the world's strongest reserve currency that's ever existed. What would they do for that level of power? Basically anything that you could imagine and more, because they're sick. I don't know. YouTube, don't kick me off. I love Google. All right. So, um, let's get back to this unbiased reporting of this election. The Mirror said, and by the way, I'm not reading the Mirror because basically I'm saying this is like a reputable website. First off, never heard of the Mirror. Second, don't trust this thing for a second. But this is a little bit quicker than pulling up X. I'm going to pull up X in a second to get the scoop. But let me see what this sort of propaganda website looking thing is saying. The first polls in Indiana, Kentucky, which are normally red states, have closed. Okay, those are Trump. Cool. Bomb threats to Georgia voting sites were made over the internet, including Cyrillic letters. Cyrillic? Yeah, I don't know. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. National Guard readies troops amid unrest, fears of millions of votes in knife-edge U.S. elections. The National Guard readies their troops. Okay, well, that's not a good sign. There was a lot of rumors of rioting, regardless of who wins. People, I don't know about y'all, but I'm fucking tired of this election. I'm tired of all of it. I know everyone's tired of this shit. Let's get this over with. So I don't know who's got the energy to go out there and just what are you mad about, bro? Go get some sleep, get some water, get some fucking food, and get back to work. That's my take on it. But I think some people might, kind of go out there and protest. I actually don't think it's going to be as big as people think it is, but I do hope they have a plan in case that does go down. Hundreds refused to vote and ballots spoiled as Pennsylvania voting machines abruptly shut down. Okay, well, that's not good. November 5th. Oh, that's not good. They're making people put their votes in the slot below and taking the paper ballot to tabulate later. That's sketchy. So basically what they're saying is you can just put it on a piece of paper and then we'll put in your vote later. Just trust me. I'll definitely put the vote in for whoever you chose. The incident has reportedly sent prospective voters into a conspiracy frenzy. All right. People were leaving, boycotting the place, ballot scanners. How big was this thing? Were cops called? Software malfunction in the county's electronic voting system. Guys, didn't we just say that Philadelphia was going to, or Pennsylvania would be the deciding state in this election? And already they're already priming the water for, oh, what if something sketchy did happen? So regardless of who wins, there's going to be this question mark. And look, they've been giving Trump a hard time for questioning the election for years. But I can guarantee you guys one thing. If Trump does win, there's going to be a little bit of accusations coming from the Democrat side as well. Same as what happened in 2016. They're going to be like, well, Russia helped them. All the major powers helped them. Elon bought Twitter. That was election interference. Joe Rogan, right? They're going to say whatever they can. And so, yeah, let's just all remember one thing. You woke up this morning and neither Donald Trump or Kamala Harris was sleeping in the bed next to you. They were not listed as your beneficiaries on your will. They were not dependents on your tax statement. You guys know what that means? They're neither making you money or costing you money or getting in your way. And so you have a responsibility to yourself, your family, your children, your future, your community to focus on shit that matters. This is important because this has global effects, it has market effects, and it's election night, baby. It's like the Super Bowl. So, of course, we're going to cover this, but I want you guys to genuinely remember that you're going to wake up tomorrow, and regardless of who wins, nothing is going to fucking change in your immediate community, in your immediate vicinity, in your life. You can open up Twitter and the whole world's falling apart, walk outside, and it's sunshine and birds. You'll be like, oh my God, this sunshine is fucking up my ability to see all this horrible stuff that's happening on my phone. They're telling me how bad the world is, right? It's so distracting. So try to focus on your own community, your front door before you try to save the world. And that's where real things happen. Local elections matter more than anything else. If you guys have kids in school, your local elections matter, right? Your school, the board, the school district, all of those, the mayor, all of these things are very, very important for quality of life and just overall, I mean, in Florida, we have incredible governors and mayors, and you guys can see how they've been handling. Everybody's moving there for a reason. All right, looks like Georgia is on the way, but Florida still hasn't been counted. What's going on here? We got 34% of the count. Looks like Trump is leading by a very small margin. Why they even have Chase? Who the hell is Chase Oliver? And who? Okay, proud of you, Joel Stein. Not gonna lie, getting on the ticket as an independent, very tough. I don't know if she got enough votes. 0.3%. Lord have mercy. They're gonna put Hulk Hogan in here. Got more votes. I don't know. I love the charade. Let's all play along, right? Broward freaking blue. Come on. Yeah, brother. I don't believe that for a fucking second. All right. Anyways, excuse my language. We've already gotten demonetized off this video in the first 2 minutes for me saying a lot of wild stuff, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. Unfiltered conversation. We'll see how this goes. If I start getting the texts from the team and it blows up, then I'll know. Okay, want to put up the live chat. Okay. Quick commercial. This stream is sponsored by the FX Summit 2024 conference, the #1 most anticipated conference of the year for traders, investors, and crypto entrepreneurs. If you guys are anywhere in the Middle East, Africa region, Asia, you're in Europe, anywhere in Spain, Italy, Russia, Germany, come out to Dubai. And there's no better way to go experience Dubai than an FX Summit, because every city we go to, we tend to have the best experience for people to come in and really see that city in the best way. You're not sitting there lost. You're not sitting there with nothing to do. You get to experience it in the best light. This is going to be the level up that you're looking for. With a world that's changing this fast, you want to make sure you get ahead of the curve of what's coming next with both investing, trading, and markets. See you guys at the FX Summit. Link below, code Chartaddicts. All right, so Georgia's looking blue. And just a quick note about Georgia. The majority of Georgia is red. But then you have Atlanta. Now, if you guys don't know this about New York, California, and Georgia, the majority of people live in those coastal kind of cities. So New York City has kind of about the same population as the rest of New York, and they get half of the state budget. In Georgia, it's Atlanta. And so these small, like these pockets where geographically it's a small area, but it's so densely populated, the most densely populated cities in the world, right? They could sway that state blue, which is historically what's been happening here. So Very excited to see these results come out. We have Virginia coming out, I believe, at 8 p.m. That's 13 votes. Georgia, 16 votes. It's a big one. All right. So 19-3. Trump's in the lead. Florida, they're taking their sweet time, but I get it. I live in Florida for a bit, and yeah, they're not exactly what's the word? Not punctual. Yeah, just not on, timing, not really the thing for Florida, right? They're probably still stuck in traffic, but that's 30. And then what do we have here? Virginia, 13 votes. So Georgia, 16, Virginia, 13, Florida, 30. So if we play this out, 43 additional votes, okay, 62. And if she wins Georgia, that'll be 19. It'll be 62-19 if this plays out as AP News is expecting. That's a pretty good lead. What do you guys think so far? Any change in opinion about the election results? Let's watch what the mainstream media is saying here. Kind of get a feel for the sentiment. Let's see what they got for us. There's supposed to be volume here. What's the deal? NBC. Oh God. Oh my God. All right, so it looks like the Republicans are leading the Democrats in the Senate race as well. Obviously, still too early to call it. This is all just kind of early speculation, but so far, early lead. This is what happened 2020. There was an early celebration. Then we woke up to a massive spike in votes that swayed the Electoral College in a different direction. So uh, can't celebrate too soon or can't kind of call the election too soon. So we'll let this thing play out. There's I don't know. Florida was the one I was expecting to kind of to come in, on the ball, but it looks like they're taking their time. It's 30 districts. That's a lot. Okay, so understandably, Florida is going to, you know, that one's going to take some time. Audubon said Bush did it. I don't know what he did, but probably. I'm blind leading blind. I crush, therefore I'm nipping hustle right now. What the fuck are you talking about? All right. But that comment, Millie Motives, just gave me ADHD, I think. Have seen videos where the program changes the vote from Trump to Kamala, not 100% confirmed. That's why I want to use as many sources as possible. There's so much like what do I call it? Funny business. That's why I really want to try my best, to use as many platforms, get an average, and see the live feed. At the end of the day, it's not over till it's over, right? Now, the difference is in 2020, most people were not paying attention this closely. There were not this many companies invested in having a real live count. And that's why there were so many questions about, excuse me, election integrity. So to avoid that, all eyes are on this. If there's some shady business, it's got to get explained and fixed quick because waiting a week for ballots to get counted, that's horrendous. It's got to be a fucking, you know, it's got to be a criminal offense, a punishable act. You can't count some ballots, but we got third world countries. These people are counting using the what's the thing that you tie the ropes? Like you just tie ropes, you tie knots. It only goes up to 10, so you gotta like get a bunch of ropes together. They're doing that, and they're still fucking counting the votes on the same day. I don't know how accurate it is, but hey, what's our excuse, right? So hopefully we can get this down. I think that the election officials or the committee, whatever it is very sensitive to this this distrust of the voting system. And so what they've said was they're going out of their way to make sure that there's nothing questionable. So people can't really have any room to say that there's some funny business. I'll be the fucking judge of that. All right. because we're watching this thing like a hawk. Patrick Bet David, if you watch this, fix your site because this thing's not updating. This thing says 0-0. It's about 20 minutes, about 10 minutes away from getting kicked off the list here. Real Clear Politics, we're at 319. Still no changes here. Ohio and West Virginia expected at 7:30 p.m. That's 12 minutes away. Waiting on Virginia and South Carolina here. Let's see what else we got. Florida is actually at 8 p.m. Interesting. Even though they already have their count, the final count will be at 8. Makes sense. So right now the vote is for South Carolina and Virginia, and we'll see who wins Georgia here. That's an interesting one. That's still up in the air. Why is Georgia and South Carolina lagging? Trump is winning by a massive lead in South Carolina. That's 9 votes, 65%, almost a 35%. This looks like a Trump win right here. Virginia, still a lead, close to 60-40, but there's still a chance for that to flip. Georgia is very close. This is a ton of votes, people. 16 votes is big. Georgia is one of those swing states. And so that's taking its sweet time. They probably want to build suspense, sell some ad space, waiting that out. Would you do Miami event with traders? No. We already did 2 conferences in Miami. It's time to go international. We're doing Latin America, May 2025. That's what to look forward to. If you guys are in Mexico, Guatemala, Peru, Colombia, Argentina, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, any of the above, we'll see you in May 2025 for the LATAM FX Summit. All right, let's see what they got here. Does anyone have live commentary, bro? What is... Fox News. See what they got here. Oh, still the same thing. Election day results. Let's see this. Same stream. AP.
Point advantage over Scott. But ultimately, Andrew, when we look at these maps, and
what is this? CBS? Oh no. Oh, that's from Fox? What is this? MSNBC, Fox 32, USA Today, BBC, pause. No, stop laughing. You gotta cover your bases. How many times do I have to say this? The internet is ruthless, bro. You think I'm not gonna give them half a millisecond to clip any of it. All right. CBS. All right, let's just see what they got for us.
CBS Morning's co-host, Gail King, is here as well. We've covered a lot of these elections.
Yes, we have.
And I know you were just in Pennsylvania. It was a great
Audio good?
to a lot of voters. What was the sense you got?
I was just in Pennsylvania, you're right. And listen, they know how crucial their vote is. They know they're a battleground state. They know that they're key to both campaigns. They're taking it very, very seriously. I want to follow up on what Cecilia said about Donald Trump sowing the seeds of if he doesn't win, that it's rigged. We met very loud and proud Trump supporters who said unequivocally, if he doesn't win, we know this is rigged and that we will be out in the streets. I was struck by undecided because I said, when I met them, are you really undecided or are you just not declared? No, we're really undecided. And I met some people that said, I'm not going to make up my mind until I get into the booth today. Pennsylvania had early voting of 25%. So 75% of Pennsylvania voters were planning to vote today. But I was struck by one guy, Eric, who said, I don't like the Republican candidate, but I like the Republican policies.
Yeah.
I like the Democratic candidate, but I don't like the Democratic policies. So that may also explain why there's such a difference there. And then the woman that really got to me was Peaches, who was a bartender, mid-40s, Black woman, who said, I'm not voting for either one of them. They haven't deserved my vote. And I said,
All right, I don't give a fuck. Can I get some election analysis here? Do we have an analysis of the vote?
knows. Now, if that doesn't work, how'd you like to be in the war room for either of these candidates on election night, right? If that doesn't work, Kamala Harris does have the Southern belt available to her. If she's able to hold on to Georgia.
This is kind of what we were just going through here. They have a live map though, so all right. They got to one up me, but let's see it on a live map here, visualize what the outcomes could look like if Georgia is a win or Pennsylvania is a win.
Yeah. To flip North Carolina and to grab Arizona and Nevada as well, that brings her to 275. She becomes president of the United States. So you see a couple of very distinctive paths. The road is not easy. It's long and difficult. It's been a long campaign, but it's going to end soon. And that's where we're going to show you how this shakes out on election night. So that's,
you know what's kind of sad
story here
is
from
that they're not even, I don't even think the Democrats are trying to win. They're just like, we're just trying to get through it and like just save as much face as possible. They're like, yep, it's looking good. We might flip in North Carolina. We might just win. Yo, and I might fly a magic carpet home. Like, you know, what makes you think those are going to flip based on the early voting, the early polling results? I'm not talking about the bullshit, the Pew or Gallup results. I'm talking about real Vegas odds from those states. Yeah, seems like Trump is kind of a lock, if we're being honest.
You can count it quick and count it securely and efficiently without it taking days and if not weeks.
To a record 4 million who early voted. I spoke with one woman who lives abroad and flew.
We bring some of the most
Battleground states. Here you.
I asked Trump, are you going to come out tonight and declare a victory? He did not say he was going to do that. He said, we're going to watch.
The Yes News app.
Oh, shit. Sorry, y'all.
things must change.
Fighting.
My bad, everybody. Kind of goofed it. Finger slipped. Let me see. Okay. Let's see what these guys saying.
The other. Let's start with Georgia. Anthony, explain, because we always want to show our work, how we get there.
All through the night, we're going to show you in real time what we see here at the data desk. One of the things we do is compare how this election looks compared to 2020. So, for example, if I light up the board here with what it looked like in the 2020 presidential race, you're going to see red counties, Republican voting, blue counties, Democratic voting. We'll see how those margins shift or change. The other thing I'm going to watch all night, Nora, is turnout, because this area around here, for example, in Georgia, Metro Atlanta, I'm going to show it to you this way. I'm going to turn the state on its side. And what you're going to see is these higher bars mean more people as we go through the night. Remember, Democrats often have to run up their margins in big cities like that. And that's how you're going to get a deeper dive into what's going on in the state.
And it's also interesting to point out, in those metro Atlanta counties and Fulton County itself, which is Atlanta, 33% of the 2020 vote came from that part of Georgia. An enormously important part of the story. We'll tell you that and much more as the evening progresses. Nora?
We will dig into those numbers. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. And the road to tonight has been unpredictable and unprecedented. There were 2 assassination attempts against former President Trump, the incumbent President Joe Biden dropping out of the race, Kamala Harris's campaign. Remember, it's just over 100 days old. She would become the first female president if elected. Trump would be the oldest person ever elected at age 78. And the race for president has been incredibly close for weeks. And we may not know the winner tonight. And so we will say this a lot. Slow results do not mean that anything is wrong. Election officials want to get it right. So pack your.
This is how they prime people for the fraud. They'll be like, yeah, just get ready for it. There's going to be a lot of shady stuff coming. Don't overthink it, if it just comes in really late because we're the most advanced country in the world and we can't fucking count votes on an automated machine, right? That automatically counts the votes. If we can't pull that off, don't there's nothing to see here. If you guys have ever read the book 1984 from George Orwell, if you guys went to a public school in America, you probably read it. There's the final command, right, from the overseeing big brother government was, don't believe your lying eyes. People, I don't give a fuck what they say on this news network. If I see shady shit, I'm going to acknowledge it, which is what your job is as a trader, is to basically filter noise from signal. And while everybody else is saying, no, dude, you're looking at the wrong thing, you're looking at this, you are looking at one thing and one thing only, trusting your eyes and trusting what's on the screen versus what you think might happen or what you wish would happen. All right. So just like we trade what we see, not what we think, we're going to basically observe this election result as we see it, not as we think it should be or what they're telling us it should be, or, you know, whatever construct they're trying to build. Okay. That's my take on this. Let's see what they got going on here.
The finding that struck me in this early batch that is evolving, as I say, is how the voters feel about the election and what would happen. So we asked to Harris voters, if the election is won by Donald Trump, how would you feel? And the Harris voters said by 70% that they would be scared if Donald Trump won. And the Trump voters by the high 50s said they would be scared if Kamala Harris won. There we see the Trump number. 70% Harris voters, if Trump wins, feel they would be scared if Donald Trump won.
Yes, because now we actually have to, go out there and create prosperity in the economy, which actually involves, picking up, a shovel and getting to work. And it's not that much fun. Not as much fun as kind of the false promises, but I'd be scared too. Be like, shit, I actually got to get out there and do something. Like, no, let me just protest. Let me throw paint at some fucking statue, pretend like I'm doing something. But God forbid, got to go actually contribute to the society.
Kamala Harris's performance among Black voters who are voting Democratic, you see she has 86%. Biden got 88%. The share of the vote is 30%. Black voters make up 30% of the vote in Georgia. That is the same share as in 2020. Now,
I will bet you my left leg that this is inaccurate. Let me fact check this. Exit polls are the least accurate thing you can possibly look at. I will bet you anything it's less than 86%. Guaranteed.
Sure, in Georgia, Kamala Harris doing a little worse than her predecessor, Donald Trump doing a little bit better, but hardly by enough in either case to give us a final picture of what's happening in Georgia.
Do we know about the gender
If
makeup?
someone can fact check that, that'd be very, very convenient.
Unless they've got it back there, I don't think we
No, yet. But that's going to
have it
be an
yet.
important element, is the composite of the electorate tonight, right?
Next time we talk, we'll have gender composite of the nation, and also then in North Carolina, another key state. The reason it's important, of course, is because women tend to vote for the Democrat, Republicans tend to vote for the Republican. Men tend to vote for the Republican. So if more women are participating in the election, that is sometimes better for the Democratic candidate.
No doubt. This is really interesting. I also think, having looked at so much, is that the data may only take us so far tonight, because it's who turns out at the polls. Robert Costa, I know you have been speaking with your sources. We did see Donald Trump with his wife, Melania, today voting, and he did take a number of questions. What are you hearing about how he's feeling?
Good to be with you, Nora. I've been speaking to my sources inside the Biden White House at the top ranks of the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign. Within the past hour, it's evident that former President Trump is feeling pretty good so far about the turnout. I spoke with former President Trump just before we came on air, and I asked him, how do you see this? I reminded him it's been 11 years since we first had a conversation in 2013 about him thinking about a White House run in 2016. And he said tonight, he's looking at the turnout and he believes his base from 2016 and 2020 is showing up. He knows that many Democrats believe some traditional Republicans are coming across to vote for Vice President Harris. But he told me tonight he believes on immigration and the economy, he's putting himself in a position. He said, I've never seen anything like it. We're going to wait for the final result. He has been on social media, been raising questions about the integrity of the vote, including in Philadelphia, which is a crucial area for Democrats. The Philadelphia district attorney has countered former President Trump's claim, Larry Krasner said there is no factual basis for what Trump is saying. I asked Trump, are you going to come out tonight and
The guy that's trying to rig the votes came out and said, no, we're not rigging the votes. Yeah, well, the case is closed. There's nothing else to see, right? The guy that they're asking, hey, you trying to rig the votes? He said, nope, I'm not rigging the votes. And they're like, well, nothing. Don't believe your eyes at all.
declare
Love it.
victory? He did not say he was going to do that. He said, we're going to watch the results at Mar-a-Lago. We'll see. He says, it looks like we're winning everything so far. Republican turnout is amazing.
Looks like
But
Trump
he's going
won
to
West
digest the
Virginia.
results,
There
he
we
says
go.
tonight. He raised questions about how the vote's coming in, and he said he has a legal team ready.
So 7:30, that's where we're expecting the next batch of votes to come in. Trump leading by a pretty healthy margin. Obviously, still too early to call. 23-3, waiting for those two key states here, which are Georgia and Florida. Virginia, because it's my home state, I'm very curious to see which way this flips. We only have about 3% of the votes counted. That's up in the air. South Carolina expected to be predominantly Trump, leading 60% to 40% in the exit polls that I just called a scam about 10 minutes ago. We don't believe those polls, but at the same time, that's a pretty fat margin, for them to be wrong. I want to give South Carolina to Trump. Virginia, Georgia, those are very up in the air. Florida, 72% of the votes counted. We should have those results by 8 p.m. That's 30 electoral votes. Trump wins Florida. He'll be sitting at 53-3. We call that a wipeout. All right. Sitting pretty good. But she might win New Hampshire with 4 votes, which would put her at 7. All right. Hey. By the way, if you guys were watching any of the live streams earlier this week, trades doing great, re-entries doing great. I told you guys I wasn't going to trade today, not because of the election. All right. Everybody saying all that shit is not watching the price. We've traded 2020. And if you got scars on your back like the guy from the Black Panther movie, you were trading in 2016 when Trump first got elected. All right. And you've been through serious pain. You've thrown a 0.4 or 0.04 lot size on the Dow Jones, on US 30, on your MetaTrader, sat there and anxiously held your phone while they announced the election results and Trump comes down the escalator and all hell breaks loose. Markets fly when everyone was expecting a crash. We've been through Brexit. We've been through COVID. These market conditions are the cleanest I've seen in about 3 months. All right. We've been playing in a very clean range. Market is very active, high volume, high liquidity, and honestly just respecting market structure. So all these people that are telling you guys don't trade election and this election season sucks and there's always talking negative, they probably blew their account and trying to blame it on the election. No. You you threw 85 lots on Euro USD. That's why. Right? So long story short, trade still hit, especially from the analysis last 2 days. And so, yeah, but I didn't trade today because I was busy. Side note, since you guys basically asked. He said, hey guys, the new 88 Six Boys collection is out now. Use CA30 for 30% off. Sam Sleafy said women's rights. We respect women around here. There's nothing funny about women's rights. We respect women, all right? All types of women, everybody.
We want to check in now with our teams at the 2 campaign headquarters. Let's start with Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes with the Vice President at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And Nancy, what are you hearing?
Nora, I've been talking to top campaign officials, and they all continue to say that they're feeling good right now. They keep pointing to early results from Indiana, because that's one of the first states to report, where they say in suburban areas, former President Trump is doing a lot worse than he did 4 years ago. And they are pointing to that as a sign of strength for the vice president in the suburbs, everywhere, on college campuses. They say they're very pleased with the Puerto Rican turnout in Pennsylvania. They're not here at Howard University right now. They are set up in boiler rooms here in D.C. watching the results come in. Campaign headquarters, of course, normally in Wilmington, Delaware, but they're all down in D.C. now, while the vice president has dinner with extended family at her residence at the U.S. Naval Observatory about 2.5 miles from here. When will she speak to the crowd that is starting to gather here? Nobody knows. It all depends on how the night unfolds and how quickly the results come in. And of course, what Donald Trump does, which is always a wild card.
Nancy Cordes, thank you. And with President Trump at the Palm Beach Convention Center in Florida is CBS Morning's co-host, Tony DeCopel. Good evening, Tony.
Hey, good evening, Nora. Good evening, everyone. Donald Trump is just a few miles away from here at Mar-a-Lago, taking in the early returns with some friends and allies, including the sometime world's richest man, Elon Musk. As for this room, there's an invite-only crowd of Trump faithful. They've been gathering for hours. They're already at the foot of the stage. And I went down there a few moments ago. I can say they're on a knife's edge emotionally. As one man put it to me, the only certainty at the end of tonight is tears. They're hoping it'll be tears of joy if Donald Trump can pull off what they see as the greatest political comeback in history. And Donald Trump, for his part, he appeared earlier today, cast a vote. Day 721 of his campaign, said he's feeling very confident, has a big lead. One of the worries, some reporting from our CBS colleagues, is that he may come out early, declare victory, do so before millions of votes are cast. And if that's the case, Nora, well, we're in a world reminiscent of 2020, and it'll be a long and chaotic night. 7 p.m. significant because polls closed in some places. Also significant in this room because the bar just opened. Beer and wine only. Cash, please.
There you go. That may change things. All right, Tony DeCopel there in West Palm Beach. Thank you. Also with us here, 60 Minutes correspondent Cecilia Vega. And Cecilia, I know you've been out on the campaign and doing a lot of incredible reporting on Sunday nights. And you know, it's interesting as we go into this evening, the tone and tenor of the campaign and this.
The tone and tenor. Wasn't that the same one that was telling us not to believe our eyes? She was like, yeah, like if you guys see Trump winning, don't believe it. Yo, the fuck are you talking about? Excuse my
Vice
language.
President.
No, did we get demonetized yet? Yo, T, are we still monetized? Probably not. Yeah, there's no chance, right? Yeah, questioning the election. Yeah, brother. All right. Well, in that case,
Much of
yeah,
both-
I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Right around those 4 cities and the surrounding suburbs.
In fact, I'm gonna.
And I'll also make a side disclaimer. This is CBS News, arguably the least trustworthy news site out there, probably tied with BBC. Pause. Who else? CNN is getting better. They fired a ton of people. They fired Don Lemon's goofy ass. That was probably a good move. Cuomo's goofy ass got. I think they're cleaning up shop. So basically NBC, CBS, MSNBC, that whole conglomerate, they're going to lean left. And so they're going to continue to make these predictions all night, being like, well, we have Harris winning. Look at this shit. 58% for Harris, 37%. And this is like a made-up poll. It's an exit poll. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys have ever, in your entire life, some of you guys are 50, 60 years old. If you're 60 years in this country, United States, this incredible country, you've ever been contacted by a pollster. Right? I'm curious now. I've never met a single human that's ever been contacted by a pollster. I'm starting to think they're a little bit of a scam. Right? So anyways, with that being said, we'll go back, listen to these folks, deliberate whatever the fuck they're going to say. But keep in mind, with a grain of salt, because they will have a more liberal lean. 10 minutes in, we'll probably switch over to Fox, see what the results come in at 8 p.m., and then call it a night. Pick back up tomorrow morning.
At the moment.
And that is a 27-point gender gap there in North Carolina with these early numbers.
She said gender. Oh, all right. I'm just let this play.
Reminder, the largest gender gap nationally was in the Clinton race against Donald Trump. That was 24 points. So a gender gap of 27 in North Carolina is larger than the national gender gap in 2016.
It could be one of the big storylines we are covering tonight. And Celia, I understand you're hearing some other information about North Carolina.
Well, we're just following some polling before this. We expect to get a more detailed breakthrough on North Carolina soon on Latinos, but this is a voting bloc. The Latino voting bloc is one that we are particularly interested tonight because of their significance in this election and how tight the races are in these battleground states. In North Carolina, 24% of Latinos are voting for the first time there. Democrats say that that is the block that they care the most about. They call them the ghost electorate because nobody knows how they're going to go. We are talking about voters, particularly who were born in this country for the most part, that perhaps their allegiances to Democratic politics are not what their parents were. And so you may start to see Donald Trump chip into some of that block that traditionally has been for Democrats leaning towards him. We are seeing that in the national numbers. We will certainly be following it in North Carolina. But again, 24% in North Carolina, 38% of Latino voters since 2016 have never voted before. So we know nothing about them and how they will vote today.
So interesting. Thank you, Cecilia. I want to turn to Robert Costa because we are getting word that Donald Trump is not done campaigning. In fact, he is calling into radio stations, trying to get people to stay in line. He called into WHT in Philadelphia, where he said, if we win Pennsylvania, we win the whole deal.
What a legend.
In line. Who are they reaching out to at this late hour?
Also, she just reiterated what we spent 20 minutes talking about. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, he basically wins the election. It's going to be a pretty close race. He's going to be up by a small margin, maybe down by a small margin. Whoever takes Pennsylvania wins the entire show. And so I think there's going to be a major focus. I believe Trump is still campaigning in Pennsylvania itself.
And then what he calls the invasion of undocumented migrants at the border. You have it from Charlie Kirk, the high-profile conservative activist. Get in line now. He's very popular among young men nationwide who are conservative. He says, stay in line. And so you have Trump imploring his base, especially men, get out and vote, because they want to make sure that if female voters nationwide, especially in the suburbs of Philadelphia, are turning up, maybe even surging towards the Democrats, they need Republican men to show up. And they're saying, show up after work.
But do you think they would be doing that if they weren't worried? Does that show that they're worried?
Both campaigns are on edge. I wouldn't say anybody's feeling confident now because everyone's seeing the high turnout, but no one's quite sure inside the Harris campaign or inside the Trump campaign what exactly it means.
I don't think the Kamala Harris campaign knows what anything means. All right. That would not surprise me. They're all sitting there in a room being like, what does this mean? And they're all just staring at the computer, trying to figure out what it is and how to turn it on. Yeah, I think Trump is going to dance circles. The whole point we talked about earlier this year is that the margin of error that we are expecting for any type of, let's just say, sketchy behavior is around 6 to 7% of the total vote. So Trump has to win by a margin of at least 6 to 7% to account for any fraudulent activity. And so that there's no room for anyone to kind of claim that something was stolen or not. It's got to be a landslide. No landslide, no election trust. And election integrity is on the line tonight, not just the candidacy.
Hannah, CBS News projects the West Virginia Republican Jim Justice is the winner in West Virginia, flipping a state from blue to red. The margin for error is gone for Democrats the rest of the night in the U.S. Senate. A mirror image in the U.S. House, where Republicans are defending so many seats in seats that Joe Biden won in 2020. Nearly a dozen of the seats won that are being defended by Republicans tonight were won by Joe Biden. That includes roughly a half dozen competitive seats in New York and a half dozen competitive seats in California. It's possible one party waves through or washes through those states. If we come back in after we see the numbers, overall seats in Biden districts, overall seats in California and New York that we see as battlegrounds, we can bring in our virtual U.S. Capitol. And I'll try to stand on the center aisle of the virtual Capitol as we equip ourselves for the long night ahead. It's worth noting the entire U.S. House, all 435 seats are up tonight. I'm standing near the battleground seats. These white chairs behind me are the ones we'll watch closely all night. And a reminder, Nora, if Democrats can net a gain of 4 seats in the U.S. House, they have the majority. It'd be a Democratic Speaker of the House on January 6, 2025, in the first half of the next president's first term.
You explained that so well, and it will be a long night in terms of control of Congress. Scott McFarland, thank you. And, you know, one of the big storylines of the night is that this is the first presidential election since the overturning of Roe versus Wade, abortion on the ballot in some 10 states to try and restore reproductive rights in those states. The Democratic Party hoping that that will drive women to the polls. How do you measure what's happening tonight, Margaret?
Well, we'll be able to measure it in 10 states where it's literally on the ballot, but it is going to be a little challenging to slice the bologna, to continue John's analogy there, because sometimes people cross over party lines. What we have seen, though, in the early exit polls that CBS has conducted, is that when they do talk, those are the 10 states you see right there. And by the way, Arizona, battleground. This could be a game changer possibly when it comes to driving up turnout. However, that is a state where abortion rights are already protected. It's about putting it in the Constitution. Similar story in some of the other states. Florida is going to be a really fascinating one. We'll tell you about in the 8 o'clock hour when we get those results. But broadly speaking, in the exit polls that we see, when Harris voters are asked what motivated them, number one issue, state of democracy. Number two is abortion. Economy ranks 3. For Trump voters, it's economy and it's immigration. So it's a motivating issue for Democrats. One we saw was perhaps decisive in those midterm 2022 races. In this presidential election, will it be? It's unique. The man on the ballot is the president who appointed the justices that overturned Roe versus Wade. And the woman on the ballot for the Democrats has put reproductive health care, women's reproductive health care, at the center of her campaign in a really unique way, Nora. I don't think we have ever had such a national conversation about health care in the way we have. And it's an emotional one. It's a galvanizing issue. It's an uncomfortable one. And we're going to be able to perhaps measure that in some of these key states. And we'll bring you those referendums tonight.
I want to bring in Robert Costa, who I know has some new reporting.
Just to build on Margaret's
Not that this is relevant to anybody. If you guys know who QB Stu is, we're here sitting here on election night deliberating the results. We're about to order pizza. Jason has put in his vote for a meat lovers pizza. Pause. He said that. And I want your opinion on this, just as the community here. What we all think about this. Is this an acceptable choice on the election? Is that an election night pizza, or, just thoughts?
If Trump does not win tonight, there's a fear that it's because those who support overturning abortion rights don't show up for Trump at the numbers they need to for Trump to win.
It's fascinating because his former vice president, Mike Pence, cited the abortion stance the Donald Trump has taken as the reason not to vote for him. Not January 6th, but the fact that he has left the pro-life movement.
We will continue this conversation when we come back, and we'll also talk with key members of the Trump and Harris teams. How are they feeling? CBS News coverage of America Decides Election 2024. We'll be right back.
Yeah, for some of you guys that don't understand, that was called humor, right? That's what it sounds like when someone's funny. Now, that is, the reason, you guys just didn't laugh hard enough at that last one. So, had to clear the air about that. We're about 11 minutes away from the most consequential states releasing their results. We're waiting on Georgia. We're waiting on Florida. And of course, we're waiting on the Carolinas. Now, South Carolina already expected to be in the bag for Donald Trump. Only 9 electoral votes. North Carolina, much more important, same amount as Georgia, 16 electoral votes. Surprisingly, Georgia's always been, a swing state. Trump has, I believe Trump won Georgia 2016, lost Georgia 2020. This is his chance at redemption. And as of right now, only 15% of the votes counted. Trump is up by almost double the margin. Trump is up by 537,000 votes. And Kamala Harris only has 300,000 votes. So we got 540,000 to 300,000. Trump's at almost double. Well, we got about 63% of the vote. So we'll see Georgia come in here at 8, Florida come in, the Carolinas, of course, still waiting for Virginia. West Virginia has officially gone to Trump. Trump is leading 23-3. First to 270 wins. This is like a game of tug of war. This is like watching Squid Games, where they're doing that thing. And it looks like Trump is leading by a healthy margin. The biggest mistake everyone made in 2020 is celebrating too soon. So you kind of see a clear path to victory. You expect certain states to go your way. You wake up the next morning devastated. So just like trading and investing, set your expectations. Don't try to predict. Just see what's happening, observe, and I definitely don't get too attached. You still got to wake up tomorrow. Your bill's still going to be due. And none of these people, Harris or Trump, are going to pay your bills. So it's on you. Oh, they're saying Taco Tuesday. Okay, see? That sounds like an election night decision. This is interesting. North Korea is starting to act up. Any news between now and the next week and a half is all made up. It's all of it is made up. Every news story about military operations in the South China Sea and all these stuff. Bro, North Korea better have running water first for talking about some military operations in China. Okay. That is election night. Look, if you want to pass something in the Congress, what do? You say the three magic words. You say Iran, Russia, or China. You get almost anything passed. All right. What are we moving this money for? $100 million for dudes to hug trees. You got to see if the trees hug them back. We don't know. Right? We'll call it the Russia Protection of Trees Act. And so any news that you guys get about those three scary boogeymen between now and the next week and a half is all fabricated. And I would assume most market news will also be a fabrication because you'll see all the traditional media. You have your Yahoos, Bloomberg, CNBCs all voting one or kind of saying the same narrative. And then the markets do the opposite. Okay. Especially during election season. So trade what you see, not what you want to see. That's how it goes. All right, drop a like and subscribe. Grab your tickets. FX Summit 2024 conference, only 2 weeks away. This election is pretty cool and whatnot, but we all know what the real election of 2024 is, okay? We all know what name I wrote in my ballot. I voted FX Summit 2024 into the ballot. All right, I put, what's his name? Bro, what's the fucking, they killed the ape back in the day. What's his name? Somebody say it with me. Jason, what's the ape where they killed the ape? But
Talking about Harambe, dude.
Harambe. Yeah, I wrote Harambe's name into the fucking ballot, and then they wouldn't let me because they said I misspelled it. So I put FX Summit 2024. With that being said, if you guys want to support, put your hand on your screen, scroll down to the description on this video, click the link in the description, and do yourself a favor and do your future generations a favor. They're going to ask you, Pop, what were you doing during 2024 when crypto was going to pop off? And you were like, oh, I was playing Roblox. Right? I had my dick in my hand playing Roblox. That's what I was doing. Like, oh, damn, Grandpappy, you're a fucking legend. That's what they're going to say. You got a vape in your hand playing Roblox. That's what's going on? No. We're witnessing history here, people. And if you want to make history, take your chances of success to the next level. FX Summit 2024 is the place to go. Look, that happened. I said that. Now, what am I the most excited about on both sides? Let's talk about pros and cons real quick before these election results drop. What are the most exciting things for Forex traders that Trump might do? First things first, fire Gary Gensler from the SEC. The whole reason that crypto has gone overseas, we don't have a single crypto exchange in America besides Coinbase, which I'm pretty sure was illegal last I checked. Somebody asked Teddy Roosevelt. So, if Trump wins, Gary Gensler's out the door. The greatest thing that ever happened and any president to ever do. Gary Gensler's a fucking moron. I'll tell you guys why. Not only did he teach a class at Harvard, or was it Stanford, about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin specifically, then he becomes the head of the SEC and still can't figure out clear regulation about how it's supposed to operate in the ecosystem. What the fuck were you teaching at this Ivy League school that you can't figure out basic ecosystem? The dude's a dud. Lights on, nobody's home. Hopefully he's gone. Hopefully Trump fires Lena Khan from the CFTC or the FTC, excuse me, the Federal Trade Commission. They stop stifling business. They stop overregulating businesses. That's awesome. Hopefully they fire the head of the CFTC, make Forex legal. Because if you can bet on fucking turtle racing on DraftKings, you should be able to trade Forex on MetaTrader. That's a big one. What else is Trump going to do? Those are pretty fucking huge. Massive tax cuts, especially for corporations. So if you're a trader, this is all hypothetical. This is not financial advice. Please consult a licensed tax professional. But if you put all of your trading profits through an LLC or through a business, you're paying corporate taxes. If Trump does a tax cut on corporate taxes, you get to pay less for your trading profits, which is awesome. So you get to keep more money that you make if Trump does a tax cut for corporations, brings the corporate tax rate down to the 11 and 15% range. So if you're making less than 100K or less than 500K, you'll be paying the 11%. And if you're making more, you'll be paying that corporate tax rate of 15. Joe Biden has raised the corporate tax rate to above 22%, which does what? Makes companies go overseas. Okay, so hopefully Trump gets the whole faucet started back up. Money is flowing around. Everybody can make the best decisions possible without having the government get in the way. And also, let's be fucking honest. Imagine having to listen to Kamala Harris's voice for the next 4 years. Yeah, I got the text. They said, Roy, don't be biased. It's an impartial stream. Bro, who put a 1 in the chat if you'd be cool with listening to Kamala Harris's voice for the next. I don't even care if you love the policies, but you might literally benefit from every single policy. Objectively, this is an objective question. That's all I'm saying. All right.
I want to give equal time now to Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley. He is with us from Trump head.
This guy's the head of the Republican National Committee chair. No wonder we haven't won an election in 3 years. That red wave that's supposed to happen in 2022, this is the guy that fucked it up.
Places all across the South, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia.
This better be good.
Feeling very comfortable about what we're seeing there on the ground. We also are very excited about what
He's reading off the teleprompters. This dude's okay. I'm gonna let it go. I'm sorry. All right.
is in a very good place based on what we saw with early voting, with absentee voting, for us to have a great day today. Right now, we are continuing to work very aggressively to get every last vote out. We are also working very hard to make sure that we are in place with our observers, our election integrity program. Every time a vote is cast or counted, we're ensuring that we're in the room.
And Michael, let me ask you about turnout. I know that those within the campaign are sending out messages to get men to go to the polls after work. Are you concerned about male turnout?
No, I think what we're doing is just making sure that we're doing everything we can to get every.
Wow, telling your voters to go vote after work has turned into a gender question, right? Like, okay. This is what happens, man. Jensen, you actually typed that out loud, in case you were wondering. So that actually did happen out loud. Thank God it happened here in the Zoom chat, because this is where all the fun happens. All right? And I second that. Go ahead, drop the ones in the chat for Harambe, throwing that out there. Now, this dude's reading off a prompter and still messing these answers up. All right. There was 2 ads that were running kind of last minute here for Kamala. One targeting men, one targeting women. The one targeting women was telling them, you should hide your vote from your husband. You don't have to tell your husband who you're voting for. Hide your vote, because I know that your husband's pressuring you. Right? As if women can't make their own fucking decisions. Every single thing is so demeaning. Right? They try to be like empowering women, and at the same time they're like, you are too stupid to make your own vote, vote. You're too stupid to have a conversation with your husband, to at least have a difference of opinion, or at least get each other to see some reason. And you should go literally hide your vote from your husband. And then the one that was targeting men was like, you should go hide your vote from other men, because you know who you want to vote for. But if you have to hide your vote from other men, what the fuck does that tell you? What does that tell you? You get me? If somebody walked in on me, I would literally rather be watching, like, they'll be like, Roy, what's on your computer? Is that a Kamala Harris video? I'm like, no, it was Pornhub. I promise. They're like, no, I saw you. You're watching a Kamala video. I'm like, no, dude, I swear. Right? Like, I'd rather be caught with some heinous stuff than watching a Kamala video. You guys understand where I'm going with this? No, that one didn't land. It did. I don't know, people. We got 1 minute left until the vote. We're running down the clock. Actually, votes should have came in. Let's see what we got here. 56 to 35, Alabama and Mississippi go Trump. Very shocked. All right, that's called sarcasm, in case you guys haven't heard that before. Oklahoma, 7 electoral votes going to Trump. West Virginia, obviously. Maryland, still too early to tell. And I don't know why they've already called it for Kamala, but it looks like 10 electoral votes expected from Maryland. I don't like this because none of the votes have been counted. Same with here. Same with Rhode Island. These are still up in the air and subject to change. Florida went to Trump. Wow. That just happened as we were talking. 30 electoral votes. It's now 95 to 35. Donald Trump with a massive lead. in the US presidential election. Now, these are still preliminary numbers. As the remainder of the votes get counted in those states, the different districts will total up those votes, get it to their electoral representative, and depending on how many electoral votes each state has, that's how much will be added to each candidate. These are the states that matter the most: Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maine, Maryland, DC, Delaware, Connecticut. We also have Pennsylvania and Arizona are my two highest sort of priority states to watch for in this election. South Carolina, as we had expected, already sort of leaning to Trump, but only 12% of the vote has been counted. Texas, 40 electoral votes, and then California has the most. California also has the most amount of illegal immigration to specific key districts that sort of sway the electoral map. Just throwing that out there, the key states that determine the election by 100,000 votes total have seen an influx of millions and millions of voters that have been getting free benefits, such as free stay, an EBT card or a debit card like a credit sort of gift card situation that there's prepaid from the government to be able to spend on food and other necessities and other considerations given to them by the Democrat establishment. So now they're in this country, got blessed up, free money, free all this stuff from the Democrats. Who y'all think they're going to vote for? And now, coincidentally, the largest kind of conglomeration of this immigration is in places that are key voting districts and key electoral districts in swing states. Now, that's either the biggest coincidence of all time, or these people have a strategy to take over the most important power on this green earth, right? The finger on the nuclear button that can end the entire earth or all civilization as we know it. What would you do for that kind of power? Probably a little bit more than what most people would expect. I'll tell you guys that much. Anyways, pretty hefty lead. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the final result. Don't look too much into it. Okay? You still have responsibilities tomorrow when you wake up. Your boss still needs that paper on his desk. So make sure you focus on yourself, your family, and your local communities. If you want to save the world, you want to clean up the world, clean up your doorstep first. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Market open stream. Happy and safe trading, y'all. Take it easy.